My name's Doug. We've got a little bit of ground to cover today. For those of you that haven't met me, I'm Doug. I'm here from Core BTS. Some of you have met me. We had a laugh yesterday, and some of you today even with the phone system. Again, this is not phone system training. We're doing that separately. If you have not signed up for it, please sign up for it. Thursday's a little tight. Both of the Thursday sessions at this point I'm pretty sure are going to be full. Friday, though, I'm looking at a fair amount of space. So there's definitely time on Friday, and I know that there's some open spots next week. And next week is all phone training. We go through the hardware, how to use the hardware, what's new about voicemail, and all kinds of stuff, right? Today I'm mostly going to be sitting in the chair because it's mostly on the PC. This room is not set up for PCs because we've got 2 phones at every of this, one of the stations, right, at every chair. And there's no space for PCs. Furthermore, for those of you that are going to be using the phone only to log into the Call Agent software, we would have to have your phone here for each of the individuals at each of the sessions. And that's just not technically possible, right? So I'll be showing you how we're doing it, and I'll be walking you through what's going on. With the Call Agent software, you're going to be logging into a Call Agent queue, right? An ACD queue, an automatic call delivery tool. And if you've ever called in and heard the message, and I know we all have, it says, your call is important to us. It will be answered in the order it was received. Thank you. Please continue to hold.
We'll have this.
That's kind of where we're at.
Go up there.
You get to
You
have
need
the
another
only
chair?
chair there is left, and that's mine.
You might want to, I think there's 4 wrong phones.
Yeah, there's room up here for one.
Oh, okay.
We're not actually using the phones today,
Okay. All right.
so you can have my chair.
Thank you.
You want me to try to look for a chair for you, Doug?
I'll be. Thank you.
You want a chair? I can
What's
tell.
the, what's your name again? I'm sorry.
Very careful.
Mary Carroll.
Stark.
Like
Nope.
that?
C-A-R-L-E. Stark. S-T-A-R-K-E.
Thanks, Mary. So, my understanding, what I've been told, is that everybody that's going to be using just the phone to log into the software is going to be issued the gray Cisco 7962 phone. At this point, you should be nodding, saying, yes, that is correct, mister. Right? Okay. That's the gray phone, y'all. The black phone is the Cisco 6921. You don't need to worry about the model numbers. The black phone and the gray phone will be just fine. This is an IP phone emulator. It's a software-driven tool. It is a phone. We call it a soft phone. It's a software telephone, soft phone. That would allow me to make and receive calls from anywhere in the world. Currently connected to the Vassar system, although we could rewire it to be whatever. We're using this so that I can produce something on screen that everybody can see. The services button, which we talked about during phone training, offers these 3 options for those phones that are configured thusly, where I have agent login failover, which I'm not even sure why we're using it because I don't know what it does here in our environment, and agent 1-button login. 1-button login means that we have saved and stored your credentials, your username and your password on the system, and if it changes, it needs to change here as well. Right? So when we use the 1-button login, we simply click the 1 button and we're logged in. That's it. Done. You're not ready. Oh, I'm already logged in somehow. There we go. Now we're logged in. And we're not ready. It says that. Not ready. And it will say that on your screens as well. Although you won't have the color background, it's going to be black and white. The not ready status is going to log us into the queue, and if we're logged into the queue, calls can stack while we're logged into the queue. So we don't want to be logged into the queue necessarily if we're not ready to take calls. And why I say that is we don't want to go to not ready and then go to lunch. Because if nobody's ready, calls will continue to queue until somebody starts answering them or they start hanging up. One or the other. If we're all logged in but not ready, right? From here we can update the status of the queue, which would show us how long the oldest call has been waiting and how many calls are waiting. We can change our state not the state of New York or Connecticut. We can change our readiness state. We can go to ready or not ready. We can log in or log out from here. So I would log out or go to ready. I'll go to ready. Now it shows me that I'm ready. And if I go to somewhere else on the phone, for example, I hit the services button again, I'm still ready. Although there is no appearance on the phone to a significant, to indicate that. There's no way I'm going to know, right? It's there. If I go back into services, I'm not even going to see it here. I have to actually go back into the one button login and then change my state again in order to see that. I would encourage you as much as possible to leave that up or to go back to it as necessary, just so that you're reminded that that's the current status that you're in if you're waiting for phones. I don't know what the call volumes are on the individual call queues that you're going to be assigned to. If you're getting a call an hour, then you may want to have that up. You want to go back to it in between other work that you're doing. If you're getting call after call after call, probably won't need to worry about remembering that you're on the phone. You'll be on the phone a lot. That'll be enough to remind you that you're on the phone a lot. Self-fulfilling little prophecy there. We can change our state. We can also go to call data. This would tell us about information from the active call. We can change our state and go to not ready, and that shows us not ready at the bottom. We can change our state and log out. If we log out and we exit one more tier, then we would see that one button login option again. If we go back into the services button, right? The one button login is saving you from some extra work. The extra work is this. If I was to try and log in, I've got to use the capitals and the lowercase letters and that's with a reasonable amount of practice, right? Guess how you're going to put your password in? With uppers and lowers and special characters, because the 1, the star, and the pound all have between 6 and 10 different special characters that you're going to have to toggle through in order to initiate the login sequence. This is why we're doing the one button login. This is why you're going to want to use your phone to log in as much as possible, for those of you that are using the phone only to log in. The terms that you're going to hear, phone only agent or IPPA, which is IP phone agent, meaning that you're not using this software that I'll show you just now. It's not bad as long as you're on your phone. And what I don't know, because we haven't had a conversation with the supervisors yet, the speakerphone button, hang up on it, is that we don't know, I don't know what the terms are of your functionality in the call centers. Are you going to be logging out for lunch, or are you just going to go to not ready? I would encourage you to be logged out for lunch, but that's a supervisory decision. See, if you're logged in for lunch, but not there, you're not ready, calls will continue to queue, even if nobody's there. Because the system knows that you're there, right? An actual appropriate air quote moment. If you're not ready, the system is going to allow calls to queue because it thinks you're not ready means you're going to be back at any second to start answering calls again. Even if you're across the street having pizza, right? Good pizza across the street. Like you guys don't know that. So, questions about this tool so far? Y'all are very quiet this afternoon. That post-lunch coma is fully set in.
What is our password?
Your password is your current network password. Yeah. Oh wow is exactly the reaction you should have at that moment. Oh wow is exactly right, because now we're talking about an uppercase, lowercase, special characters, minimum what, 8-character password that you're going to have to text in with a phone? That's why we say, oh well, it's still got to meet the parameters of an appropriately secure and complex LDAP password. So it's got to have 8 characters, uppercase, lowercase, special characters, right? It's got to meet all those terms, and Guess what? It gets to change every 60, 90, whatever days that you have to change yours. How often do you have to change your passwords?
I
Never.
don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes.
Typical college campus. You're exactly the same as anybody else when it comes to that, when it comes to higher education. 180 days is the typical average at maximum. Yeah.
When you step away from your desk, just for like restroom, whatever,
Mhm.
should you log out or just not ready?
If you're just gonna go to the bathroom, fill your water cup, whatever, then what I would do would be to just go to not ready. I wouldn't log out. I'm gonna be back right away. Now, if I'm gonna go over to the cafeteria or whatever it is across the commons, and I'm gonna grab a cup of coffee or a salad or something for lunch and then come back, I probably ought to log out. And that's that 5 minute is okay, but 15 minutes probably isn't. Because what happens if somebody catches you on the way and you get caught up in a conversation and now it's been half an hour and you say,
It doesn't go to the next person?
oh, it'll go to the next person as long as there's somebody there. As long as there's somebody there, right? That's the catch. Here is the call agent software. We've got a door button, we've got a not ready button and a ready button. Those are the big three. Those three right there. The door is log in or log out, and then green light for go, red light for stop. You log in at red light. Okay, so you're not just immediately gonna get calls. You have to tell it, I'm ready. When we tell it that we're ready, we are saying that yes, we're ready to start getting calls. Now it says we're ready and it's tracking how long we're logged in and how long we've been ready. The person that's been waiting the longest gets the next call. Just like the person that's been waiting the longest is the next one to be answered. The person that's been waiting the longest for a call is the next one to answer that call. So if we've all heard the message, right? Thank you for calling. Your call is important to us. Calls are answered in the order they are received. Please continue to hold. Whoever's been waiting the longest, and if that means that you're the next one available, the phone's gonna ring instantaneously if there's a queue of people waiting.
So it's gonna go, like, say there's 4 of us, and those guys are not ready or whatever, it's gonna automatically come to me then?
Yes. If the 4 of you are my queue, and you, Savannah, are the only person that's actually answering the phone, the rest of them are all chewing the fat at the water cooler, they would, right? You can just tell. Then what's gonna happen is that you're gonna get call after call after call, and you're gonna start to wonder why you're getting call after call. Why am I getting all the calls? Oh, they're not here, that's right. But as soon as one of those cats comes back, logs in and says ready, they're gonna get the next call, right? And if there's a break in calls, whoever's been waiting the longest is the first in line. Cool? Regardless of how we're getting there, whether we're getting there from the phone or from the software. The software does not answer the phone for you. The phone is still the thing that you're going to use to interface with the caller. However, you can click a button, that button right there, to answer the phone. If you click the button, and you're not wearing a headset, it's going to put it on speakerphone on your phone. Right? That's the thing, that's the catch. You're actually controlling your phone with the software.
Do you provide headsets for these phones?
No. No, if the college is gonna give you a headset, it's because the college ordered a headset for
Well,
you.
we have them already, but we're not sure if it's compatible.
And I don't know what you have right now, that's a
Alright.
good question. And even if you tell me, I have a Plantronics, and they make a bunch of models, like, this is Plantronics is one of the best ones, and that's what we encourage as a company, we encourage the use of Plantronics. But there are a couple of models that work particularly well with the Cisco phones. And for those of you that may have a wireless headset, there's actually a jack on the back side of the phone that allows us to skip the lift kit, right? That stupid little thing that lifts up your handset in order to make the calls. It just interfaces and allows you to answer the phone. For those of you that don't have a wireless headset, you're actually connected to the phone. If you have the right model, we can usually skip the amplifier box. And we jack right into the headset jack. We cover all that in phone training. Yes?
This software is only going, I think, in our department to a couple of people, right? We're not all
Yeah.
getting
Not
it.
everybody's getting it. It's about half and half. Roughly half and half. I'm not sure what the total head count is, but it's roughly half and half. Other questions? So far? We have a couple more buttons to discuss. So there's ready, not ready. There's a dial pad. The dial pad would allow us to make calls. This is actually a phone book that's worthwhile using if you are using the software, because you can interface with it here. We edit in order to add Dorothy Miller, right? And she's one of our phones here in the room, so I just added her. We can select the number and dial. We can dial numbers from here. We can add people or whatnot to the phone book. But if we're using the transfer or the conference tools up on the left, so we can answer the phone, we can put them on hold, we can conference, transfer, or get touch tones. A little musical notice for touch tones. Touch tones because we wanted to use our mouse to navigate a menu. Press 1 for customer service, right? We can do that here, or we can just hit the button on the phone, which is what most people do. We've got conference and transfer, which will access the director, your director, and you can add to that as necessary. This one's worth using if you have the software.
How did you get into that?
That's this little grid button up here,
Okay, thank you.
and then we've got the chat tool. The chat tool is only going to be available for those people that are on your team with the software. And you have to be signed into the software in order to use it. But if I'm talking to somebody on the phone and I've got the software open and I can see that Silvana has the software open, I can say, hey Silvana, I've got Joe on the phone, he wanted to know if he had an answer yet, right? We can do that all from the chat tool without having to put anybody on hold or anything. Oh, yeah, let me ask Silvana about that. Done. Right? Universal sign for typing. So that's the chat tool. We have a reports tool. We've got state log display, which shows us which states we've been in. I don't mean New York and Connecticut. I mean which state of readiness are we in. Ready, not ready, logged in, logged out. All of those will be recorded with the time and the reason codes. Right now we're not using any reason codes that I'm aware of. Reason codes, we can actually log what kind of call we just took. It would allow us to start tracking call metrics. What kind of calls are we fielding? And should we be fielding these calls? Should we change our call queue in order to handle those better? Things like that. Statistics. How many calls have you taken? How long do you talk? Your call log. Who did you call? What day did you call them? Was it inbound or outbound? And then how many calls are in queue right now? Currently, none. This can be left up, and you can always come back to this. You can refresh with the refresh button as necessary in order to get a fresh view as to how many calls are currently in queue. All that information was also available from the one button login screen on the phone itself too, so you can have that in front of you, even if you don't have the software. Question? Okay. The information that you see here on the screen is related to the information that we have on the phone. And as soon as you go off hook, which you can hear on my computer, the dial tone, we get the information about that call. The information about the current call is right here, and then queue information, how long it was on hold, when was it transferred, which queues has it been through, not queues, or not people, pardon me, just queues, will all be in that screen. So there is quite a bit of information being presented for us in that screen pop. And this screen will pop. When a call comes in, it comes to the front. It does not have to be maximized. I keep it maximized just so you can see what's going on without confusion and clutter. But you can resize it to be whatever size you need it to. It's a window like any other window. This does require PC software. It only runs on Windows. Cisco only supports it for Windows. It will not run on a Mac. So for those of you that may be Mac users, you will not be using that software.
Yeah,
On-
they are when they get parallels.
Mac OS.
They're gonna.
Yeah, one of the alternatives is to either run it in a vFusion from VMware or Parallels on a Mac in order to give you a Windows environment so that you can run that tool in. You see that I'm running it on a MacBook Pro, right? It's just that we're running Windows 7 as an operating system on it in order to make it work. Cisco just doesn't support this tool for Mac. They support all kinds of other things on Mac, they're just not this one. Questions? You guys are very quiet. It's not even half an hour. How are you currently
I
handling
think
these
quite a
calls?
few of us in our group aren't gonna be using that software.
You're gonna be using your phone only?
You are.
So the things,
We are?
Oh, what happened? We changed it?
Okay, never mind. I should
Something
get
got
their
confused.
attention.
the things to keep in mind with this is that you need to log in when you get into the office, when it's your turn to be on the queue. When you're ready to take calls, you click to ready. When you're gonna walk away, it's best if you initiate and go to not ready yourself. If you miss a call, it's recorded. Hey, Silvana, you missed a lot of calls here, right? I'm sure she wouldn't do that. Now, the catch though is that if you don't go to not ready and you do miss a call, you will be placed into not ready automatically. You may not even realize that that's why you're not getting calls and all of your associates are, right? So try to remember to go to not ready. And if you're gonna go on break, my advice would be to log out. That's a conversation that I still need to have with the supervisors. It's what they want you to do, because it's a departmental decision as much as it is a software and a technology decision. The technology will support either one. However, from a reporting standpoint, we've got to decide, is it appropriate for you to be not ready for an hour for lunch? And do we want the queue to allow calls to continue to stack up while you're on your lunch?
That's where I'm confused. If there's two people answering the call center, or more than one person, if you're not ready, you're at lunch,
Right.
they're still gonna get the calls, no?
Yes.
Okay.
But if there's only two people answering calls and the other person has to go to the bathroom, the calls are gonna continue to queue,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
That's the catch. I mean, if we have a call center where there's 50 or 100 people answering the phone, it's not a big deal if somebody goes to lunch, but if there's only 2 or 3 people answering calls and you're gone for an hour, the call queue will think that you're gonna be back any second and will allow calls to continue to accumulate. If we have a fire drill in one of the buildings or something like that, the calls will continue to accumulate if you're logged in and not ready. From a technology standpoint, it's just what's best practice. You know, from a theoretical standpoint, yeah, no, we got people, we should always have people answering the phone. That's a little utopian though. Comical. We have this conversation every time we do a call center. So don't feel like you're asking a question out of line. It's not like
But
that.
Is there
wouldn't
a
there be
max?
options? Point six.
Is there a max amount of people it bounces to?
No, there isn't. But there is a maximum amount of times that I'm gonna bounce before I'm gonna start to not get pissed off,
Right, absolutely.
right? Because here's what's gonna happen, right? I, as the caller, I'm gonna hear phone call, the whole music. Every 30 seconds or so, I'm gonna get the little reminder, thank you for calling. Your call is valuable to us. Please continue to hold. Calls are answered in the order they are received. And then I'm gonna hear ringing. I'm gonna hear about 20 seconds ring, about 4 to 5 rings. And then I'm gonna go back to music again. How many times am I gonna do that before I'm gonna start to get cranky about not being talked to and answered? That's what I'm, yes, in the back.
No, I was gonna say, I thought there was an option that you can, if you don't wanna stay on the line any longer, leave a voice message.
There may be. I have not been told if there is, and at what interval will that option be offered. So we can choose to say, well, let's offer the option to leave a message at 3 minutes. Because the catch is that if we just allow everybody to leave a message, the time that you're calling everybody back that left messages is time that you are not answering the phone for active calls.
Right.
And we want the call answered, and if you have to make callbacks, you're not in the queue. Or those people never get their callbacks because you are in the queue. It's kind of a catch-22. Yes?
Just one more dumb
No,
question.
no, no, so-
Now, outside callers will get that little voice, right?
Yes.
And music.
Yes.
How about in-house? How does that work?
If you call the queue, you're gonna get the same
Oh,
results.
okay.
Yeah. If you call the queue.
This is.
So for help desk, for example, same thing.
Yeah, because they already have it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they already have something.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the Cisco version, but yes. The interval at which you are just told, thank you for holding, please continue to hold, versus when do we say, thank you for holding. If you'd like to leave a message, please press 1, or continue to hold. We can set that as appropriate for the department in question. And what those intervals are set at is not an answer that I have at this time.
How many? No, well, what I was gonna say is, if there is, a way to leave a message, more than likely the person that is calling and leaving the message is not gonna be called back by one of the people that's responsible for the calls. It's probably gonna be given to someone else, because that's who they're looking for, and then that person's gonna be on the call with that person. So I don't think that it would be an issue, because that's what happens now to us with our,
That's a departmental specific response to that process though. In the help desk world, for example, it's probably going to be the call queue folks that are gonna be calling those people back to say, hey, you called, you're having a problem with what? And how can I help you? That's a very departmental thing. Savannah?
Yeah, how many rings before it bounces to the next person?
None. It's not a hunt group.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Okay.
The only reason why it's gonna bounce to the next person is because I walked away from my desk and forgot to go to not ready. And I went to get a water, or get a copy from the copier, or go to the bathroom, or whatever, right? Then it's gonna bounce to the next person, but only after 4 to 5 rings.
Okay, so it's 4 to 5 rings for each time?
About 20 seconds, yeah.
Okay.
20 seconds translates to about 4.5 rings. That's why I say 4 to 5 rings.
Okay.
And it'll be about 20 seconds of ringing at my desk before it goes back into the queue. It'll hit the queue briefly, could be a second, if you're available. But if nobody else is available, then it's gonna go back into the queue and wait until somebody comes available.
So as people log in, does it go in that order?
It goes in the order of the person who's been waiting to answer the phone the longest, right? Regardless of when you log in, it's when you go to ready. Whoever's been ready the longest, whether that's a microsecond or 5 minutes or an hour, whoever's been ready the longest. So if you go to ready, and then I go to ready, you're gonna get the next call.
Yeah, but ours, we have that series of skill numbers, the matrix, we filled out the matrix.
The
and
skills
so-
matrix is a different scenario.
Oh,
So
well,
that
that's
will
what
be
we
a
have. So
skill
it's,
issue then.
Oh, okay. So
And
that's
then-
what I was wondering, how, you know, like, does it, you know, like, say I came in at 8 o'clock and somebody
Yeah,
else
you
came
still
in,
don't mean
it
enough
doesn't
again.
go in like order like that?
Well, the ready status is still the riding thing, but if you're assigned a skill level that's higher than mine,
Mhm.
you may get that call sooner than I would because of other issues, right, because of the skill set.
Okay.
So for example, if we had a bilingual queue, if I have an English queue and a Spanish queue, and I have Spanish speaking people that can take English calls, but I would queue them at a higher rate for Spanish. So they're gonna get more Spanish calls if they're available before they would take English calls,
Gotcha,
right?
okay,
Same thing with skill sets,
yeah,
yeah.
okay.
But there's gonna need to be some kind of a menuing on the front end that would identify, you know, to for Spanish, right? So that we can decide who to try and give that call to first.
Okay.
Make sense?
Now I know why they don't answer my calls on the other end. You know, when you call doctor's offices and things like that, you're sitting on there, and it depends on, you know, who's not ready or ready.
It really does, yeah, who's ready, who's not ready, and you know, if there were options to choose before you got to the queue, which ones did you choose? Things like that all play into the matrix. There's a lot of decisions, and there's a lot of ways that we can build in forks in the road, where we can put those, like, for instance, the option to opt out for voicemail. We can set that at a 3-minute interval so that you gotta suffer for 3 minutes before I even let you leave a message. Because I really want people to answer the phone and be talked to.
Right.
Instead of ending up in voicemail. I've seen it as high as 6 minutes, but it depends on what the average length of hold time is. You know, if usually people only hold for 30 seconds, then I might set it for 2 minutes. But if the average length of time on hold to wait to talk to somebody is 5 minutes in the first place, then a 2-minute opt-out isn't gonna do any good. Most people are gonna opt out for messages, right? It's a myriad of decisions in order to come up with what's best for any individual organization and department within an organization. What other questions do y'all have? So, go live is Monday. The cutover is Friday. So Friday afternoon, we're cutting the entire system over to the new thing, right? Into the Cisco phone system. And when you come into work on Monday, you're gonna be on the new system. Help desk folks, are you 24/7? I'm getting the impression you guys are help desk. Is that not the case? No, okay, then don't answer the question for me. I think the help desk may be 24/7, and if so, they're probably cutting over Friday afternoon. Yes?
Thought just occurred to me, if you were ready and a call came to you, but somebody approached your desk and it was really important and you wanted, instead of it to ring and somehow like shoot it to the next person, is there a way to do that?
Nope.
Okay.
No, because in theory, anybody that is going to be part of the call queue probably is not going to be given a divert button where you could send a call immediately to voicemail. Because in theory, if you're in the call queue, it's because you're supposed to be answering the phone.
Right.
Not that that doesn't happen, where somebody walks up to me and I have to let that call go and go back into the queue. I get that, that happens. But as a general rule,
Right.
when the phone rings, we want to try and answer the phone. Because there will be also times when people do walk up to your desk and you have to say, you know what, I gotta answer this call.
Right,
Right.
of course.
So,
All the time.
go.
I just thought it would be quicker, make the call go, get answered quicker, you know, if there was.
Yeah, that's kind of like speed limits. You know, in theory, we don't really need speed limits, we just need people that are responsible and intelligent.
Right.
But not everybody's responsible and intelligent, so we have speed limits. There would be somebody that would just divert calls to voicemail and not deal with it. So we don't.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking divert it to voicemail, I was saying put it to the next.
Back into the
skip
queue,
you,
yeah.
like out of that,
Yeah. No,
for
it's-
that moment, for that call.
It would be, under those circumstances, it would be nice, but there would be people that would abuse it, that's why it doesn't work. Was there another question? I thought I saw another. Ladies and gentlemen, that's about all I have. If you don't have any other questions, I don't have anything else to say. There should be a version of the handout for this on the Voice Project website. So at, I have it.
What does the icon look like on their machines now to open this up? What should they be looking for? Is there, when they loaded the training, when they loaded the software, did they put a little icon anywhere or?
The icon that you're gonna look for looks like this.
Phone?
It
Okay.
says agent and a little phone handset, okay? And that's what it's gonna be down here in the taskbar as well. Little phone icon.
And that's what we
And then
click
you
on to
log
log
in.
in,
Yep.
or to.
For the software users, that's what you're gonna log into with your credentials, your LDAP credentials, so your username,
I don't know.
you know, first name, last name, and whatever your current password is. For the phone-only agents, the IPPA folks, right, IP phone agent folks, you just go to services and then one-touch login. That's it, you're done. From there, you need to decide when to go to ready and not ready. You have to do that extra step. Everybody has to go to ready, right? Nobody gets a call until you initiate that green light button on the software or the ready button on the phones, whichever is appropriate for you. So it's not just one touch and you're done, you have to go to ready.
What did you say the username is? It's like
It's
my
your-
LDAP stuff.
It's your LDAP credentials, yeah. So first name, last name, and
We
whatever your
don't have,
current
a
LDAP
first
password
name,
is.
last name.
Oh, mine is,
With the
Oh,
extension.
okay, yeah.
yeah. So whatever your LDAP
Okay.
credentials are, yeah.
I think this was like a question for this morning, so I apologize for that.
No, it's okay.
But all the predetermined stored numbers on the
Mhm.
buttons, we have the one screen and then the second. You
With
said,
another little-
you said some have 3, screens?
Two's the max, yeah.
Oh,
It's okay.
so how do we change these predetermined buttons?
Are they just speed dials or are they doing something else for
Why,
you?
what do you want?
No, they actually have people's names next to them.
We did it based on what was on your old phones, and then we made some adjustments. So if you want adjustments, we can do that, we just need to do it after we get going.
Oh, okay, so it's through you guys?
Just send it to Elizabeth,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the safest bet.
Okay.
Submit them, we have others we need to submit, so we'll submit them all in one.
Be descriptive when you make the submission. What do you, if you want a change, what do you want changed and what
Right.
should that line do for you, not just whose name should it be? You see those buttons next to the screen,
No, it was
folks?
based on like the, you know, the amount of times you'd be contacting that person, like David Mary
Oh, just
has
a-
like Tiffany and Nancy and has like none of us, so it was kind of bizarre.
Mostly just a priority issue, then whose name appears where.
Something that,
Well, just
Something
the
else.
list
Change-
was
change
not the
that.
people it should have been.
but
That's okay.
yeah, something on that
So
stuff,
we
we just
can
need to fix
call
it.
it Liz, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Just email us, so we
Yeah.
can keep it warm.
Okay.
Cool.
I'd also done, like,
Thanks for coming, folks. If you have any other